right, welcome back to the Hemp Lucid Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Hudson, and today we have Charles, who is back again.
That's right.
And today's going to be awesome. Today we're going to cover Charles's kind of entry into cannabinoids, utilizing cannabinoids, and different stacks that he uses to optimize his day, his performance, just your overall well-being. Yeah. And for me, it's been really fun to hear your experience and like your journey with these cannabinoid products. And I think your story and your experience can, I think, help a lot of people, because a lot of people are like, cannabis is starting to hit mainstream. And it's like, okay, these products are entering the mainstream culture, but there's so many different cannabinoids and different ratios. And do I do a CBD oil, or do I do a gummy, and or do I do a gel cap? And like, what am I going to feel? What am I going to experience? How is this going to, impact me? There's so many questions around kind of starting the cannabis or not, hemp journey.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to like hear your journey over the last few months. And I think just sharing your story could be really impactful for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And it's been a very interesting gathering of information, and I would say a reveal in a way, because I've lived a life that would, take you, away completely from that, that plan, I would say. But yeah, just to start, like, I mean, my family, my parents, awesome people that kind of worked hard for everything they got, so with that comes a certain, I think, structure, and like, you kind of got your one chance. You want to avoid any pitfalls that could hold. So I think, like my upbringing was, my parents were awesome, but they were also very strict to protect you in a way, and then you want to talk about the religious context, and also what's put out there in the mainstream about like drugs and weed and all this stuff. And I was one of those kids too. It's like,
same.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, like the cool thing about me is like I knew what I thought I was supposed to do, but I never thought that's what others were supposed to do too. Because as a young kid, I would see things that I wasn't doing to not get in trouble, but I could feel that there was pressure, because I was like, okay, I got to be good to get here. But then I would see my friends who were doing things that to me were not so good, but they were also like more happy and relaxed, and I was like, okay, this doesn't add up, but I trust. I would trust, and I'm not even talking about necessarily like anything with cannabinoids, but even like, you're staying out later than you're supposed to, or you have a girlfriend, and you're 14, like things that in the African household you can never do. But I was like, oh, it seems like they're kind of enjoying in themselves, and so I always had this scope, like, hey, this is what I choose to do. That doesn't mean it's for everybody, because apparently, everyone has their own different. So I think in the back of my mind, and I was like, hey, and I was raised in a pretty cool family. Like, my siblings are pretty dope, and they were always real with me. I have two older brothers and an older sister. They were always pretty real with me. Like, I was always the kid. They were, I don't know if I was supposed to put their business out there, but, I was the 11-year-old kid in the basement with my older brothers. Like, that was our spot. That's our designated spot in the house. So, when they'd have their friends over or people, I was always around. They would make sure I wasn't exposed to things, but they kind of needed me down there because I was kind of, I could, they didn't want, if I went upstairs and, acted kind of weird, and our parents were like, hey, what's going on down there? So I was kind of like, since I was a kid, every time I go up for a drink, they're like, hey, what's going on down there? And I'd do, oh, everything's good. And then they wouldn't come down. Right. Yeah. So I was kind of like their...
You were the shield.
I was their shield, their eyes, all that, So I was around some things. And so it was, they kind of helped shape who I was, because I was like, okay, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to. So then they kind of were like, okay, hey, you're going to be like, we're going to make sure you're pretty good and locked in and stuff. And they were great. They were great kids too, but they were kids. They were teenagers. Yeah. They had a more teenage experience than I did, because my family moved to Utah. Right before I became a teenager. Right. Which was probably, it's probably all things work out for the best.
Right.
So I also, in high school, I would see a lot of kids who would get into, different things and smoking weed and stuff. And it just seemed like they always fell into that cliche that they would tell you about. Like, they stopped caring about their grades. They stopped and I have close friends of mine that would stop, they were kind of doing the athlete thing, and, they were guys that were on my team, and they would kind of drift off, and, you would just see there was a lot of good, talented kids that kind of went down the wrong road. And instead of you thinking maybe it's their environment, well, you're like, okay, well, what's different? Oh, then they must be the cliche kid that's doing you don't know.
Right.
But how the perception that is shaped, or what you're told about what being a good kid and bad kid is, what you're told to stay away from, you naturally end up putting a story together with what you're seeing based off of what you're
absolutely
taught to see, that make others different than you, so you can make your plight valiant. It's just happening. You don't even realize it's happening. So, but so the best way to, as a young, and my parents ended up getting divorced, and I had time in high school where my mom was. She was sick, and you're trying to figure out scholarship stuff. It's tough. So at that point in my life, I'm like, oh, I doubled down on the road. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like I had one chance. If I get off that road, it's like, yeah. So it worked out for me, but in that, I'd say it solidified the, hey, if I only get one chance, if I, So anything that could even, so I put a lot of things in that category. And which in a way was helpful, because I think it was good for me.
Oh yeah.
But it was from a very, not a judgmental standpoint, but it was from very there was so many temptations that I just had to I had a never box, and then I had a what I'm supposed to do every day box, and it was just that.
Yeah, your level of discipline from your life experience without any of the vices is pretty impressive. And I think you were saying, I think that's actually helped you just become who you are today. You're a very disciplined person, probably one of the most disciplined people I know. And I think when you're going through those times, it's easy to find the vice of cannabis or drinking or pharmaceuticals or whatever anybody is doing to try to cope with the stress, and you're just so disciplined and locked in and focused that it totally just comes out in who you are.
Yeah, well, if that, I guess I appreciate that, but the reason why hearing that is a little bit it's so, and this we'll get more into this, which is why you'll understand why, even when you say that, instead of being like, oh, I appreciate it, it's I'm kind of a little bit uncomfortable with it, because I wish I could say that I was just naturally this disciplined person, and I was as a kid, okay, all right, calculator, but it was almost I was life put me in that situation because that's what I needed to go through at the time for maybe for me to get to where I needed to go. And then also maybe to be that safe place for my friends. And then maybe to be like, to be able to handle what my family stuff was going through. But the reason why I say that is because I don't believe like, I think there's what's the word I'm looking for? I think in life there's always like a balance to it. It's almost like I was shocked into that.
I see.
And I think like what's happening now in my life is me having to come back and consciously choose where I put my attention and who I want to be.
Right.
Because that discipline and that with that came a lot of like, I wouldn't even say it was what fueled that was, hey, you're an immigrant, your parents want you to just do school. You chose to do basketball. If you do, you better get a scholarship, and you better, what I'm saying? If you do go play, you better like, and it was all those things. So it came out of that. And I think for a kid, that's a lot of like stuff to think about. And then, you come to the same college, it was the same way. And then, as a professional, I got out to play professionally, and it was like, your environment totally changed. Like the stuff that you think is not, it's normal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then, but then, I never even knew what, in a lot of ways, like what I thought about certain things or how I was supposed to go about certain things. I already made the choice that I'm not doing them.
Right.
But then, so that was a very interesting thing, because that stuff came out later. It exposed my lack of understanding or awareness of different ways of living, different types of things. And, even relationships, like I didn't even know, I didn't really know anything about being in a relationship with another person, what that looked like as far as like the actual experience of it, because I was, I didn't want to mess up and do, so
Right.
I stayed away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I think life is about learning, and you're going to learn, and you're going to evolve. And I think for me, it was like, I thought there was like a clear way of like, maybe it's from religion and it's my upbringing. Like, hey, if I do everything and work hard and do exactly what I'm supposed to do, and I don't do any of the bad stuff, then I'm going to get a better experience. And I'm not going to have to go through things where I'm going to have to fall off and learn and come like, I can just get to the,
right.
Which is a very interesting concept, because it's like,
for sure.
And that's where religion came to kind of be a little hard for me, because it's like, oh, so like, yeah. So, but anyway, that's kind of, I would say, and then later on, I was, I'm not going to say the person, because I don't want to, or even their relation to me. I probably already mentioned them, but it's, I was home one day, during the summer. And, a lot of this stuff too it was starting to break down, like this idea that the crazy thing is like, people, I would start to hear what people would say about me, and everyone was like, oh man, yeah, Charles, he's great. Oh, he's nice. He's the best. And he's, and so that's who I became, because that's who I was to them. Right. And so for me, like, there was a lot of value in continuing to be that person that people constructed me to be in their life.
Yeah.
And I carried that out as a teammate in relationships, and, and interestingly enough, like, it felt natural, but I always like, but I didn't know if that was like really, I mean, I knew it was me, but I didn't really know where it was coming from. If it was like how I was showing up, or it was like just that sense thing from childhood, like, always do the,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that dissonance kind of started to like mess with me, you know, because it was like, because I realized sometimes like I'd feel slighted. And I was like, if I feel slighted, is that because I'm expecting something back, or is it, so are you allowed to expect something back? It's like, it was just confusing. And then one summer I came back, because I would come back every summer, and someone close to me was like, they were doing like some gummies or whatever. And I was like, and they were like, have you tried any? I was like, no. I was like, I told you I don't do that stuff, man. Like, and it was like, and he's like, okay. He's like, why not? And I was like, at that point, I wanted to be like, yeah, because it's not good for you. It's not bad. But I couldn't say it.
Interesting. Okay.
It was like, but I also knew, he's like, oh, I was like, I don't know. I just don't. I was like, well, you can get tested for it and you can, you know, get in trouble. And
mm-hmm.
I've seen guys get kicked off teams and stuff. So, you know, anytime you put the rules on it like that and there's consequences, you know, I'm like, yeah, I can't mess up. It's
right.
One, like life is so that's I'm going to stay away from it. You
right.
know what I mean? And he's like, oh, well, the season's over, right? I was like, yeah. But you know, I do the national team stuff in the summer, so I might. He's like, are you doing it this year? I'm like, nah. And usually if it's a friend, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But it was actually, it was my brother, so I couldn't really, you know, and he's, you gotta meet this dude. He's one of the best human beings ever. And I don't think he realizes that all the time, but he literally is one of the best human beings ever. You would love this guy. But, so he's like, oh, okay, well, all right. So then I kind of felt bad that I didn't have an excuse, but then I was like, yo, maybe I'll just try it, you know? Like,
mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, so what does that do? That makes you, he's like, so we're talking before, I was like, I kind of changed the subject. And then we started talking about this. We had this, I kind of changed the subject. We started talking about a spiritual experience that I had. This is me and my brother, we talk about everything. It was like, you know, we were raised with one parent LDS, one parent not LDS. So we go to church when we were young, but we loved our experience, like with the people. Like he had a lot of good friends, like, you know, all this, like some scouts, church ball stuff. Like that's one thing, like, you know, all that other stuff aside,
mm-hmm.
anytime your kids are coming together and there's a community and you're
yeah.
teaching kids skill, like I'm from
right.
Africa, I'm out here in the woods, like, you know what I'm saying? That stuff's dope, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
these people taking you in the woods and camp outs and stuff, I don't care what it is. As for a kid, that's dope.
Oh yeah.
So we were talking about our experience in Milwaukee and how much, like, because he's, you know, we're not, like, I wouldn't consider us religious at all, but it's cool that we look back on that experience with, like, you know, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we still, sometimes we're still those people to this day. So, anyway, so we were talking about some of those experiences, and he didn't know I was telling him about this experience that I had, you know, within religion that I took with me forever. Because even within that experience, I could tell it was weird. It was like a direct connection, you know, to something else, but it wasn't like, it was just a spiritual experience. And we went to this deep stuff, and then he's like, I'm going to put these away. I was like, oh, whatever. He's like, what should I do? He's like, I'll just take a little bit, like it was like a piece of chocolate, you know? So I was like, cool. So then we kept talking about deep stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, I was saying something, and then, like, I never experienced that before. It was like a doom. And like my brain just like went so deep in that thought. And then I started, like, my eyes started watering because of what I was saying. And it was watering because it was like, I wasn't emotional or whatever, but it was like, I have this thing, and I don't know, I don't know how real we're getting here, but I have this thing when like when something that is said is I realize what it is now. When something that is said is like true to like the absolute core or to my soul, I can't even explain it. I can't even call it truth, but there's a feeling that happens, and then my eyes like water. It doesn't. I'm not sad. I'm not. It's just like, and it'll happen every once in a while when someone says something, and I'm like, oh shoot. That's when I know like there's something about that. I don't know if it's like a sign or something. So that was happening, and I was like, oh, and I just went just like deep, and then I started saying some things, and it was like really interesting. And then he had to go get his kids from the neighbor because they were playing, and I kind of was still having these thoughts, and I never had. I mean, it was just so clear. Like I was asking like questions, and then like questions were being answered. Like I was like, okay, maybe I should go downstairs because I don't want his wife, she finds out he gave me this, she'd be pissed. So he's like, dude, he's like, go downstairs because I don't want her. If she knows like she loves you, and if she knows that I like, you know, I just don't want to deal with that. So I was going downstairs, but I was scared. Because I never had this experience before.
Right.
So I was trying to go downstairs, and I was scared. And then something told me like, no, it doesn't work like that. You don't have to be scared. But I was still scared, so I just like, okay, I'm not gonna go all the way downstairs. I was sitting on the stairs, so I was just on the stairs. And then all these things started coming to me, and I was like typing. I was typing to him. And then I was like, and then like, when I would get to like the meat and potatoes of like the download, like my arm would shake, and then I would look at my arm, and then I'd forget the what I was gonna write.
Right.
And I still had some, but it wasn't like the meat and potatoes that I had.
Totally.
And I was like, dang it. And then I would come back, and then I would just, and then I was, he eventually came back, and I was like doing a little bit better. It took like a while for it to wear off. He was like, dude, what's going on? I was like, I don't know, you tell me. He's like, I don't know, I'm confused. He was kind of like scared because he took his chocolate. He was kind of confused. And then later the next day, I was looking at those messages, and he, you know, and I texted my friend, and I was like, oh, during the experience, I'm like, oh my gosh, I get it. I was like, I'm going to go tell my friends what happened. I was like, they're going to say I was high. But I wasn't. I was aware. I was actually scared because I was in the moment, but I was like, dude, I don't want this. Like, I'm trying to get out, but like, this is too much information. Like, this is not,
right.
I don't know where this is coming from. Like, I don't. And I was like, so when I was kind of out of it, I texted my friend like a bunch of, I was texting since him what I was texting my brother too. And I got the response back. He's like, oh, dude, you're tripping. I was like, oh. And then like the next day, my brother was we were driving. I stayed over. We were driving somewhere, get some food. I was like, hey bro, what do you think? Do you think I was high? He's like, I don't think so. He's like, I've been around. He's like, I don't know. He's like, no, I don't think so. I think you were, but some of the stuff you were saying was kind of like, and it was good things, but it was like, he's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting, man. I've never really seen anybody really have an experience like that. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, we were kind of having like a deep conversation about like, I don't know, like our existence and spirituality and stuff like that. And then it's kind of like, he's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I called another friend. I told him, oh yeah, dude. He's like, dude, yeah, I was high. He's like, you were high, man. It's like, I've had an experience like that, dude. You start tripping. I was like, no, bro, I was not.
Yeah.
So then that was the first time I realized like, oh, wow. One, your stuff is not for everyone to hear.
Mm-hmm.
It was for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I realized that, oh, that was maybe it's just for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing that happened was my arm was shaking. It was almost like, it's almost serendipitous for saying this now, because now I understand more about the body and stuff. So I thought this at the time, but now when my arm was shaking, it was almost as like, I mean, I don't know how deep we're trying to get here. It was, I remember in the moment, it was like, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I can't, whatever's happened, I'm not doing that.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, it's almost like something had access to the central nervous system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like hacked it or something.
Yeah.
But it couldn't affect me. I get to, I get to do what I'm doing. Obviously,
right.
But it was like, it was so timely that it was like, and then I'd forget the thought. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and then towards the end of that experience, I was asking questions, and it's like, and I was I was on that, like, so what does it all mean then? Like, if all this is like, if it's about this and then it's like the answer I got was, and I don't even know what, I couldn't tell what was asking the question and what was giving the answer, but it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And KRS one time jokes, he doesn't joke, but he was like, I want you guys to say rock star in your head. And everyone's like, he's like, no, don't say it out loud, just say it in your head. And then people say it. And it's a great video on YouTube. He's awesome. And he's also like, who was saying rock star? And they're like, oh, what do you mean? He's like, you heard it in your head. He's like, you said it and you heard it. He's like, how can you hear without sound? Because your ears are vibrations. Mm-hmm. They hear vibrations, and then your brain makes it into interpretation. Right. He's like, but how can you hear without your ears? He's like, how can you see? If I say, imagine, how can you see without your eyes? And he's like, because and then you can, the eyes just see light, and then the brain perceives it. So he's like, what do you think is, like, who's saying rock star? He's just asking him the question. And then I'm watching the video. I'm like,
that's deep.
I'm like, dang. He's like, so I do this with my friends too, and it kind of freaks them out, because I'm like, so they're like, so he's basically saying, like, how can how can you hear without your ears? Mm-hmm. So at some point, it's like, how can you speak without using your mouth? Mm-hmm. So that was just an interesting concept, and that video is great. I'll send it to you. So yeah. So basically what he was saying is, like, we have obviously a spirit or higher level of consciousness, and that, the body is used to experience this life through that. Crazy thing about all this stuff, though, is like, people make you think it's cuckoo and all that stuff.
Right.
Then you study whatever you want, science, ancient texts, whatever religion you want.
Right.
It all lines
it's all there, yeah.
They're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's just scary how much, like, information, and anyway, so I was like, what is it all about then? Like, then nothing matters. And it's like, I got the answer, like, even, like, everything matters. Like, even what you think is, like, experiencing that's, like, so mundane is, like, part of the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And that's the answer. That's the answer that I got. Because I was like, okay, well, if nothing, because I'm in this state where I'm, like, seeing past, like, these things that I thought were things, and it's like, and I got that answer, and I was like, oh, okay. So basically it was like, hey, just keep going. There's more than what you know, but just keep going, because there's meaning in all these things that that are doing, even the mundane. So that was, like, pretty. It took a little bit of the edge off, and I'm not gonna lie, that experience freaked me out.
How long ago was that?
That was 2000. I want to say like maybe 2021 or something.
Oh, wow.
2021, yeah. And then, I was confused because I'm like, oh, I'm looking at my friends like, what have you guys been doing? Because the interesting thing was during that download, I realized like, I'm going to say all this. And I understood like a lot of things I got so confused that I was like, yeah, I don't do this stuff. That was cool. I won't take it back.
Uh-huh.
I don't regret it at all.
Right.
But that was enough information for me to know. Someone asked me again, like, man, you never did. I'm like, nah, because I need to integrate that. And like, that was enough.
Right.
Like, and I didn't ask for that. So how did I have that experience just randomly from going to, so I'm just going to stick to the serendipitous, but what it made me realize was I have a lot of friends that, were smoked and done gummies and stuff. And they didn't have those types of conversations with me after their experience.
Mm-hmm.
So what I realized was like, okay, obviously there's something here, but it makes sense why it's been demonized.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can have all these experiences and thoughts and whatever, and if someone says, oh yeah, you were just high, then we've used a word to basically define all these unique experiences,
right.
Good, bad. Some of them, some people could take some bad stuff, but it's like, and then we say, oh yeah, that's bad. And then those people are bad because people that do that, do this. And then it's like, it becomes a whole different thing.
Absolutely.
That you want to stay away from. You know what I'm saying? That you have, like, you can't even, because of what you can't even knock anybody who wants to stay away from it because of what it's been built up to be. So that kind of like, I'm the type of person, I'm honest with, myself, honest with others. Like, I'm going to keep it real, you know? So I had to keep it with myself, and I'm not gonna lie, I was confused, Yeah,
it makes total sense.
That's what happened. And, that's, it just kind of, what's going on, And then there was another side of it too, that doesn't mean that like, okay, I'm going to do it again, or I need it to all the time. It's like, it's a you and you thing, as far as timing and where you're at, knowing if you're trying to like run from something or you like, that's a whole different
for sure
box that you also realize
escapism.
We do, because of our, and I'm skipping ahead, but because of our society, lifestyle, and system, and the lack of, I feel like, community and kind of like that village, and also everyone being kind of more in tune with who they are, who they truly are. And then where there's like a natural exposure when you're a child to like how the world actually is, and what a relationship actually is, what family dynamics really are, what community, like, you lose the ability to, I think, to like access those types of things in a real safe and integrated way. So I think it's like, I don't know if it just made me realize that I don't know what's bad and good, but it's like, I think you're kind of like your environment and society, whatever, shape
absolutely
what you think is and what you think is not.
Absolutely.
And so it was just really confusing for me.
Yeah, I bet, man.
So I had to go back and I just went back to doing what I do, because I'm like, look, I can't incorporate this now into my hooping and my life and stuff. Like, it's like, there's a lot. I'm just gonna, you know what I'm saying?
So how long did you, between that experience and then kind of your most recent entry back into hemp products? So you went from 2021 till
2021.
2021 up until recently, or was there another
there was another time, like, I was on vacation in like It's like, if, whatever that means. But I was dating someone and they wanted to go on vacation. So, we went and, it was like, no, it was a situation again, out of my element, 5-6 days, nothing. I don't have basketball. I was like, so we went, I remember that experience with my brother. So we passed this place and I was like, I was not around basketball, around Utah. Right. I was like, okay, like, but I kept thinking about that experience. So I took something. I was like, oh, okay, it'd be my second time, whatever. And it was not the same experience. Like I still had that feeling of like, kind of like, love and all this stuff. And, but there was a little bit of a anxiety and hysteria. And kind of like, I was like, oh yeah, this is not, I don't like this, And I was like, nah, this is what,
right.
This is what they said.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I get it now, But it was like a tourist area where they had it was down in the Keys.
Okay.
So there was like those tourist spots. And, I was always, anyway, but it was like, it was not, and I was like, okay, I get it. This is not for me. This is what they said.
Right.
So then after that, I was done, and then I went back to play that following year, and then you see guys like they're smoking a lot, getting in trouble and stuff, and you're like, yeah, this is what
Right.
It's just you're. So this is why I gotta stay away from. This is why and that was kind of it. I don't even think I really thought it was bad at that point. It was like I needed to tell myself something to play how I've played and be as disciplined as I've been, and that was the excuse.
Back to the old identity.
Yeah, back to the old identity.
Comfort,
for sure. And so, because anything other than that would have made me curious, and so that was it. And then I told you last fall, was it? I was with a friend, and I wasn't looking for that at all. I was looking, athletes have been using CBD for a while for like pain and stuff, and that doesn't have any. I don't think it has any. I've been using that for a while. Not like I would always have something, and sometimes I'd rub it on a bum knee or whatever. So that's something. That's something that there's no stigma around. But But even before saying that, when I was in Florida, the reason why I got that stuff at that store is because I bought a shirt made out of hemp. I wasn't trying to like get gummies or anything. I just made I looked at the hemp, and then I was like, wow, this is like breathable. It's like, then I started looking up, it's like natural fibers, like wool, and I was like, and then hemp. And then I was Googling and stuff, and I liked this shirt. And I was going to get it. Then I looked up everything that the hemp plant does. And then I figured out, I didn't know CBD was from hemp or,
Yeah.
And so I just thought it was this thing you put on your hurt knee, but the creams and stuff.
Right.
So then I was like, oh my, I was like, it has this, it has this, it has this. I'm like, what? Yeah. I don't understand,
Right,
and then I looked at like, I just went, I go down these little rabbit holes. I looked at like how it was suppressed for some things, like, in all aspects, for whether it's textile use and all that stuff, and like, and why, and like how well it grows and all that stuff, and like how resourceful it is. And it was like, oh dang, this is kind of cool. And then I bought the shirt, and then I saw they had some gummies or whatever, and I was like, I was in the pro hemp mode, because the breathable shirt and the cool. So I was like, oh yeah, great. Let's and so that's when I had this.
Got it. Okay, makes sense.
But it was a learning experience with all the stuff it was good for. So this last fall, I went through. Late summer. I didn't go. It wasn't like I didn't go through anything crazy, but it was heavy for me at the time, right?
Like life events?
Yeah, whatever I went through.
Yeah.
And it was a weird space because like, it was like, I wasn't, it's kind of like a abrupt stop of something. And it was a weird space because I was struggling with it, but at the same time, like I knew no one meant to hurt me, and like it was like I didn't feel like anybody did me wrong. It was just I was just struggling
Right.
with it, you know.
Relationships are tough.
Yeah, I was just struggling with it, but there was a lot of love, and I totally understood that. And I'm not gonna lie, that's like the first time I've always been able to separate from stuff and look within and not like, but that was the first time where it's like, I was like, man, you could stop seeing someone and you still have a lot of love and care for the person, and you know things are how they are, and it's like, then what do you do with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like real love is hard because it's not possessive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like how do you love something that you can't hold and have? You know,
Yeah.
That's why we hold on to things. You know, it's like so there was a real teacher for me, but I didn't know how to handle that.
Yeah.
I was trying to find ways. Like my friends were like, "Oh man, they should have give you more," and I was like, "Nah, it's just it is what it is."
Right. Yeah.
So, but in that, I went to my friend was really there for me, and he was so awesome because that's you're a good person. That's a good person. It's just the time, and I had a great conversation with you too.
Mm-hmm.
You put a lot of things in perspective from like a broader perspective, and that really helped. And then the next time, I would talk to my friend about that again, and I was kind of in pain. I was like, "Hey, yo, do you have some of that CBD stuff that I could just rub it on, whatever was hurting from the workouts that week?" He's like, "Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I got that. I got some from Hemp Lucid. It's like a little, So then we started a conversation with his wife about like kind of the state of things, and pretty deep conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then took one of those things, for whatever was hurting, my foot or something.
That was a gummy.
That was a gummy.
Yeah.
It was like, but it was a gummy that didn't have much THC.
Yep.
And then we were talking about something. I started watering, and then when she said something, and then boom. And like what she was saying, all of a sudden I could see like layers back from that. She like deep, like, and I just like, I just like stopped. It was like kind of like my turn to talk, but I couldn't talk because it was just so.
It's like all the dots were connecting, and you're able to see, like.
Yeah, it was so deep to put in words. And I was just like.
It's like those moments where it's like you zoom way out.
Oh man.
And you can see all the layers, and you can connect all the layers, and you can see things for what it is and what's happening, and the things you didn't want to accept were true about reality, or actually true and happening. And it's like that whole.
And you know where I've gotten to that? Because I think that zoom out is, whether so, and we can touch more on this later, but like when you zoom out, and it's like, what I've got to now is like, I ask myself, it's like, oh, you think you see things clearly. But my thing is like, it's like, what messes me up is like, okay, maybe that's BS, what I'm seeing right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's BS because I'm living in that other space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, is that real?
Right.
Or is that what is real because it's been believed and constructed? And I think it's that. It's like, yeah, maybe it's only BS because it's not what we're choosing consciously.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But there's another choice. So that you zoom out, because what you zoom out is you see what's actually being chosen.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be that. That's why sometimes you get confused. You're like, oh, okay, well, I got to go back. People don't know how to integrate, because it's like, they're like, oh, that's why people escape.
Yes.
Because it's like, dang, I don't want to go back to this.
Right.
But what they don't realize, that this is this because of the choices and what we're sustaining.
Right.
But not understanding we have a choice
to change.
Right.
And
even though you can't change the whole thing, so that's what integration really is. I think if we realize like maybe who we are and that we do have a choice, and even if we make the choice within that other, it's okay because we know we're making that choice and why we're making that choice. But we understand we're choosing that because we have to make this because we have this responsibility. Right. And even that's powerful.
Right.
Because you're consciously making a choice to.
Right.
So just to rewind back, the worst thing that could have happened to me in this cannabis stuff is that I did breath work with a coach for a long time. Because what I say by the worst thing is like, is I can't say it's not, I can't call it BS or that it's like wrong and stuff like that and I say that because when I had that experience, my friend, he kind of saw what was happening. There was kids there and stuff. And he was like, hey, let's get some fresh air. Not because he was scared of the kids or not seeing it, but because I think he wanted to take me away from that space and like really see what was going on. And like, he was really curious. So he wanted to but I remember I was a little bit uncomfortable. His son came in and his son like, hey, what's up, Charles? And when I touched his son's hand, I was kind of like out of that state, grounded back to like, that was really weird for me. And I was like, whoa. And then, he's like, so then we went outside. He's like, I started talking, saying some things. We sat down and then his dog came out and licked me. And when his dog licked me, I was also kind of like grounded back to kind of like, that was really weird. So, but which, me, that's going to make me, I got to go study that, see what's going on, because I don't care what people can say I'm lying, or I know what happened and I know what I need to figure out why that happened, because that's interesting. It doesn't make any sense. Whether you want to call me I was high or not, that's what happened. So I got to figure out why that happened, because maybe in other states of consciousness you're more in tune to certain things. Maybe that stuff's happening on an everyday level, but because let me get this, right. But that's another conversation for another day. So maybe episode 3. Okay. But so I started in that moment. I'm telling you, that's to this day, that's probably one of the most beautiful moments of my life, because I can't even explain like how, just like how it was the first time I've, sometimes like, you've had, I don't know, you don't know, like it was the first time I had a true observer effect. And not even that I was like zoomed out and I was looking at myself a little bit, but it was like more even like, it was like a separation, like a true, I can't say it was like me looking at this. It wasn't like, it's not, I can't explain how it was, but it was a separation. Was it a separation of like your individual self and your ego, or was it more cultural? Individual self, or it was ego and whatever's the real self. Yeah, because there's this thing that happens. Ram Dass, a spiritual teacher, would talk about this, but he would talk about in his practice and like working with people on psychedelics and these psychedelic states where this separation of your ego, your true self, and your identity all separate. Yeah. And I've experienced that. A lot of people who were having like difficult situations and difficult trips, it's like that is happening and they don't know how to like adjust or understand what is happening there. Yeah. And there's a little bit of panic there, but for sure, it's like the ego from culture is so integrated into, and the ego is important.
You know, I'm not saying it's not important. It's just, you know, it's how we've been able to evolve and survive up until this point. But it's like culture and this reality has like hijacked that to be like your ego and fear to be the operating system,
for sure,
like in the driver's seat. And those types of experiences, cannabis, you know, other plant medicines, you get that separation and that lift, and you're like, whoa, my true self, my authentic self, my soul self, and then my ego are now separate. And now your perspective on reality and the way you look at things and think of things is completely different.
It's completely different. The reason why I say that is because, you know, you're having this experience, you're, oh, what's going on? But then it's like, you see everything like zoomed out. And then for me, it was like, when I say zoomed out, it was like, I saw connections that were like non-linear in time. So like, I remember spending time with someone, and I was like, I remember hanging out with them, and I wasn't on anything. I was just, you know, this was way before the experience. This was maybe 4 months prior. And I was like, I just like, boom, like totally stopped. And I was looking, it's like, I was like out of the moment, and I was looking at them, and it's like, they weren't, I don't think it's like they were talking to me, but it's like, I went into another, and I was like, something in my brain was like, or whatever it was in my head, you know, something that was not spoken with my mouth. Just a thought. It was like, remember this moment. I was kind of like, what the, like, I mean, I was present. We were spending time, but it was like, remember this moment. Like, you never know what tomorrow will bring, whatever, but this peace that you have now, this kind of like peaceful happiness where you're not worried about anything, you just hear it. Like, it was like, take a snapshot. And it's like, I remember that moment, and I feel that moment. It was like, and then when I was having that experience, like, I had all these different moments that came together, and it was kind of like, I had a feeling that whatever was happening and talking to me in that moment was the same thing that was telling me to do that for that experience now. And there was so many things that were happening. I was so many things I was sharing with my friend. At one point, I just, it was like, I was saying, now I started saying this out loud. So basically, like, that was influencing that, and that, because like, almost like it had to come out of my head, and then I had to say it to hear it come from the physical form, my human body, so that I can know that I said it, and I can't just be like, oh, that was just a thought. Right. Some of the things were just thoughts. Right. But then other things. So what I said that I needed to hear was like, I said a lot of things, but it was like, in my mind, I started thinking like, you're the only person that's been with Chase every moment in his life. So you know what you've gone through. You know your intentions. You know why and that was that thought. And then it was like, and I started thinking like, yeah, sometimes I get on myself for not being where I am, but then it's like, I never realize the things that I do try to do. And it's like, it just blurted out like, please be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Like, probably like 8 times. And I just started like, I never had that many tears come out. And my friend, he was like, kind of like patting me on the back, rubbing my back stuff. And I was just like sobbing, like snot and all this stuff. And it was like, that was stuff that was held inside that whole time. Oh yeah. You know, that I didn't know how to like, and you know, it's not like, you still a process, but just like, you're okay because you're you, and you've been like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just kind of like a surreal moment for me. And I was telling you, I did breath work with my coach Sep, and before the World Cup, when you're, you know, we got into, man, he taught me how to breathe through the diaphragm. that was wild for me. Then he taught me how to like breathe deeply. Then he taught me how to like, you know, do super long breaths. And it just got to this crazy training with him where it's like, I could tell it was helping me in sport, but it was also helping me in life. I was just soaking everything up. Then we would do like we do sessions where it's like, you know, you're jump roping and you got to hold your breath. See if you can jump rope for like 30 seconds. Then after that, he gives you one breath. Then you got to hold it. Then do like 10 push-ups and then like hold your breath as long as you can. And then when you hit that black space, he's like, I want you to go 10 seconds longer. And then you can always get more and more. Then there was a time where he had me doing like exercises in the pandemic. He had me doing exercises like in the morning. And I'm telling you, like, my capacity was unreal. Even that World Cup, unreal. But what I didn't realize was it was like retuning my nervous system, how to breathe also in everyday life or in stressful situations. It just like, I used to be, I've always been calm, but I'd have like outbursts sometimes, like randomly on the court. Like, you know, you have to get me there, but it's like all that stuff kind of like went away. And then I remember I would just get downloads from it. Like, I'm like, oh, wow, coach, you know what I realized? I'm like, your body will never ask you for another breath while you're in a breath. He's like, yeah, that's a good point. I was like, no matter how cold the water is, no matter how tired you are. So I tell the BYU guys that, because like, if you go, it only asks you for another breath when you're done. But even when you're tired, if you go, afterward, that one you might get, because it needs more oxygen. Right. But just the fact that you stayed in that one, you're lowering your heart rate. But even deeper, what happens is, and I'll get to this too. Yeah, so that breath work was unbelievable. But I remember in the breath work, he said I would stop for like months and come back to it. And he's like, dude, you don't get it. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, he's like, you're always like, let's do more exercise. Let's go to the next level. He's like, there's only one exercise. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, it's breathing consciously. That's the thing I told you day one. He's like, because day one, when he told me that day one, I still remember, he was like, it's conscious breathing is the only time that you're here. He's like, I don't care what anybody says. If you're not breathing consciously, like, you're not here. You're like, you're operating off of, you know, right, whatever your central nervous system is going to react to that environment. So if it's eating, you're going to be chill. If someone like randomly walks up on you, then, you know, whatever. Right. I don't know, but you have to breathe, because that's when you're actually present. And when I remember that day. I remember that day he said that. I remember what he was wearing. He was wearing a black shirt. It was on our Google Meet call. And that moment's been framed in my mind. And then when I was having that experience, it was so overwhelming that I was like, dude, I'm trying to get out of this. Like, I did not ask for all
spiritual downloads.
This might be like, I didn't ask for something that could not even be real for what I know, but it's connecting all the dots in my life. Is like, I'm like, dude, if this stuff is like drugs, then what is this? Because this is pretty wild. You know, I was thinking about this. I was like, I'm trying to like, whatever it is, it's just too much right now. I want to, and then I remember like, I'm like, the only time, it's almost as if that moment was for that time. And all the other stuff that helped me about it wasn't. So I was like, so I went, and then the more oxygen I was inhaling, the more I was like grounded, and like, because my friend was like kind of worried, and I was like, I'm back. He's like, what? I'm like, no. I was like, don't worry, I'm good. He's like, what was that? And then I started laughing, because I was like, holy shit.
It's a cosmic joke.
I was like, because like those moments all, you know, it was like, it was just wild. There was like a glitch in like, you know how they say like everything is all in the now, and the brain puts things in to make sense of like, it was like there was a glitch and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got so much information, like my family, me, and like just kind of like how I need to see things now. And when I did that breathing thing, what happened was I was grounded. Then I was like, oh wow, I can control this experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I wasn't like taking as much oxygen or whatever, it was I would kind of go back. I went back into the state of, you know, things coming in and stuff, and then I tried it again, and then the same thing, and I was like, holy crap! Mind you, a week after that, Sep, the breath coach, tells me he wants to he wants to start this class for guys he's worked with called the Beyonders. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm down. And, you know, we ended up doing 8 weeks, and, you know, like one session was all about the ego and what it is and what it's built. And it's crazy how he incorporates the stuff with the stuff that he's worked with breath, and he gives you techniques and like what the ego stands for, and like what the separation, what happens, and how you can get back to that, how you can shut it down, and the breathing techniques, and meditation, fasting. I told him I was fasting that one of the classes was during, I came into the class the day we broke the fast. That was a class, and we had that session was on how do you get back to that, how do you blur the line as much as possible between like the physical and the ways you do it through breath, and he started telling me why he goes to those retreats where there's no sensory, like there's no, like you can go in a room with no sound, and
the dark retreats,
and why that's so the Beyonders class is literally the best thing, one of the best things I've ever done. Like, I'm like, Sep, at some point, like, you got to take this into, he doesn't even know how impactful like that stuff is. But the reason why I say that, we were in one of those classes. Another thing Sep told me was, for day one, he's like, guess what, Charles? I was like, what? He's like, it's all about CO2. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, everyone talks about oxygen, but they forget about CO2. He's like, and I had that, after that experience, I remember the next Beyonders class, he was talking about, I said, Coach, do the gases have a direct effect on states of consciousness? He's like, what do you mean? I said, because I had an experience where I was feeling, and it seemed like the more oxygen was in my body, kind of like the more grounded that I was. Mm-hmm. But then the more, like, obviously after you exhale, the CO2 levels go up. Mm-hmm. So I was like, it seems as though like the CO2 is a different level of, I don't know, and somehow it's connected with the nervous system. Like, obviously, yeah, breathing in, relaxing, but maybe it's deeper than that. Maybe the levels of, he's like, oh man, he's like, he was kind of like, and I was like, so I started, after that class, I went to study for like 7 hours, because I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Because I asked him, I was like, hey, I was like, Coach, is there something about the atmosphere? I was like, the atmosphere and the gases and what we bring in, what we exchange, and I was like, it was just wild. We can go down that rabbit hole, but it was fun to me to see myself go to a coffee shop and study for 7 hours on something I experienced, and I was top of my, then I had this other experience, and then one thing I realized about that experience is with the cannabinoids, it can put your body and awareness in a different state. And that breath work I was doing on that made me, it's like you can incorporate it outside of that. But that allowed you to like learn something in a altered state that like solidifies. And yeah, I mean, I started playing with it. Like, you know, I'm working out with Ryan and I'm like, hey Ryan, I want you to kind of like resist, and I want you to inhale and hold it. And he's like, and I was like, I want you to exhale, hold your breath, and then do it. I was like, where do you feel stronger? He's like, oh, like on the inhale. I'm like, cause I'm just playing with it. Like, okay, well maybe I felt more grounded. I felt more, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, okay, let's jump and then land. And then I was like, so we went to this is wild. So we went to the playground with his daughter, right? And I was leaving school one day. He's like, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, we're just gonna go to this park and vineyard. I was like, oh, I'm staying in vineyard. So I was like, I dropped everything. I had some stuff to do. I was like, nah, I'm going to the park. You know? My friend and his daughter's like, I was like, oh, I gotta study. I was like, nah.
Park.
So we go there, and I've always been scared of heights. And Ryan's like, you know, Ryan, thinks he's some cheetah. He just starts like walking on this, like, you know, he starts walking on the little ring the big ring that holds the net that the kids climb on. And just like, he just walks all the way up almost to the top. And I'm looking at him, I'm so scared. I'm scared of heights. So I'm like, dang. But I feel like I needed to do that. So I'm like, okay. All right, so I start walking, I'm like shaking and stuff. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna move forward on the exhales. So I'm like, then I'm like, because my central nervous system is like, I'm like shaking. So I'm like, inhale, exhale, walk. And I'm like, I'm doing that to top. And I'm like, I got into this part where I was like shaking. And I was like, this was one of the biggest wins I've ever, and I didn't even make I'm a grown man. I'm telling you, like, it's like the biggest win that I've ever had. Like, and I'm like, so I'm exhaling. I'm like, I'm feeling my central nervous system, and then like exhaling, and I can go a step further. And then I did it, and I was like so ecstatic. I didn't even get to the top, but I went out to like this, to the side, and then his daughter, who's afraid of heights, she looks at us and she starts doing it. And we're just sit, and then I'm like, yo, just breathe. Like big exhales. And he's like, breathe, honey. And she's like, and like, it was, I don't know, it was just so cool. And then when I got to the top, not the real top, but little junior top, I wanted to jump off, but I was scared. But I jumped off and I totally like, you know, luckily it was like the little soft stuff that didn't mess up my knee, but
right.
I was so tense that when I was like, oh, let me jump off. I was like, I'm going to jump off on an exhalation. And then when I land, I'm going to inhale again, you know, like, and I did that, and it was like I'm like, dang, like, and I remember Sepp saying too, he's like, breath is a remote for the central nervous system. And so for me, it's been an amazing way, I call it, to discover the gray areas, like the space in between. There's what you were taught, there's what you've done, there's what you think you are, what you've done, what you're trying to learn, what you're trying to read. Then there's a space in between where that's where the truth maybe lies. But it's always there around you, but you can't see it because you're always looking at the things.
Right.
And for me, it allows me to get in that space in between, and how it's made me look at myself and other people has totally changed.
Mm-hmm.
How it's made, and I feel like I was always, try to treat others great and stuff, but it's like, I'm literally seeing like things in real time. Even things that I didn't like or that bother me, I'm like, you know what? I have to be aware. Like, that person's probably doing their best.
Right.
And I could be doing that too.
Right.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm realizing like a lot of things is I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, one thing it taught me too was and also with this metaphysical stuff and the breath work and the Beyonders class, it kind of like the things that came from those 4 months of creation, of abundance thinking, just by like, I mean, I can't even describe. It would not have happened without that experience.
The breathwork session, the 4 month.
Well, I think it wouldn't happen with that cannabinoid experience. But the breathwork experience with my coach, the relationship, all that, the friendship, everything in my life is already what it's supposed to be. It's already work. It's always working, right? But it's like that experience put a lot of things together and unlocked a lot of things, and also made me realize who I am. That's just, a lot of the stuff that I thought was like, or it's like before, it's it's like, oh, you're nice, you're this, and it's like, nah, it's like, that's just me. That's a choice. I have a journey that I'm finding out more about, and that's how I choose. That's who I am.
Right.
So it's like, but now it's like, I don't get hung up if I don't get something back, because I know who I am and why and I'm not going to be anything else, because I can't be.
Right.
So it's like, but then because of that, I'm also more conscious of where that goes and flows. And not everything is perfect, but it's like a start of a new. That's why you gotta be careful with this stuff, because it's like,
you can't unknow.
It's like, I'm not. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not even saying that. I like. It's a burden, because you can't like blame. You can't blame. Now you can't like, oh, this person. It's like you have to look within.
It's you.
It's you, and you know who you are. And it's like, this week's been hard for me, because I'm like, I have to maybe let some things go that seem right and look right, but it's like, I'm trying to hold on to them, because I'm like, but that's not a good look. But it's like, then you have to, okay, if you really can create some things like you have, I guess you'll do what to your level, you'll go to your level of belief, but it's not, there's no right or wrong. It's like, and what that taught me was, I asked myself, now, it's not do good, do bad. It's what experience do you want to have? Like, I asked myself that the other day, someone kind of made me, someone said something that I didn't like one time at work. And I was like, the ego, how different we are. I had every reason, my old self, to be like, man, you know what? F him. That's how these dudes are.
Right.
But I looked at him, I was like, man, we're kind of it's kind of like rubbing or touching elbows here. Everyone's trying to get their. I was like, at the end of the day, this dude, I've seen this dude with his family. He's nice. He's nice to me. He's a good dude. But it's just one thing, right. One episode. And I was like, at the end of the day, this dude's a good dude. He's a good father. He's a great dad. And most of the days, he's a good, like, I was like, what am I doing? Like, no matter what he said, I still, maybe his relationship with me may be different, but he's still cool to me most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's not trying to.
Right.
That's hard though, seeing the world like that now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like, it's hard, man. It's
Oh,
like, cause
yeah.
it's just you and you now. No one did anything to you. No one, like, you know, you don't have to react that way if you're breathing and conscious and aware.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure it out, but I would say there was like, and I'll say this to wrap that up. I don't know what, I will say you just have to, being around good people, like it's cliche, but it's really, really important. And also understanding who you are, your motives, and also like the one thing I will say about the hemp lucid stuff, like there's a whole different, it's so cool because there's a whole different line of things. And I feel like, I don't know that much about this stuff, but you guys are respective to the plant, but also to the human experience and the nuances and the variety of states and what you can need. And, you know, I've used some of the sleep products. I've used the focus. I've used the stress relief. And honestly, I probably use that. I would say stuff. Maybe I'm probably average once a week, like where I'm using something, but it could be just be a stress relief. It could just be or it could be a combination of things, but it's just nice having, another opportunity to learn or something to take the edge
little
off.
Little levers you can pull.
And I try not to.
What kind of experience you want is like stress relief, the focus, the sleep. You know, the 10-to-1 gummies, which are just, I think that's like one of the sweet spots. And then the 1-to-1 gummies if you want something stronger.
Yes.
So yeah, we try to like tailor things to what experience do you want?
Yeah. And I think that's my motto now. Like, what experience do you want to have, you know? And that's like, sometimes I'll feel a certain way about something. I'm like, okay, how do I want to experience this? You know, maybe with some breathing, some good, like a sad moment. I'm like, let me go out to Stewart Falls and hike. And then afterwards I'll get some good food and like
it's hard to be sad after that.
Yeah. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay,
totally.
but you gotta be kind to yourself. You know, it's like, that's those downloads, like you got to integrate it, you know? But you know, for me, I've enjoyed like the focus and the stress together. I've, you know, and thing too is like those deep download days, they've been so good for me. I've probably had like 3 of them, but it's like, I prepare for it too. Yeah. Like I make sure I'm moving.
Ceremony.
Oh yeah. I always need movement. I need outside. I need to hydrate. And then I need to have my notebook.
Yep.
And you know, it's been really cool. And, what's been cool is, I would say the coolest thing is like sharing some of these things with my mom and her. We want to talk about discipline and like, you know, just her like resonating with a lot of things. And I was thinking about this the other day. I wanted to tell you this even before you said it. I was like, here's a question. It's like, you know, people need to ask themselves, like, what does it look like if you use something natural the right way? You don't give up your other life, whatever, but as a way to experience this life in a better way. If it makes you a better friend, better son, better husband, better father, if it makes you more present, if it makes you be more conscious of what you put in your body, if it makes you see past the lies you tell yourself or the illusions, and you find a way to be, no one can do it for you, but you find a way to align to make sure you like, you know, I guess there's that reality too.
Yeah. I mean, the experience of life is all about the experience. Like we're here to experience and we're here to learn. And so, yeah, what type of experience do you want to have?
And
there's all these different levers you can pull to have really whatever experience you're really looking for.
Yeah. I was thinking about, I was like, man, like, you know, I was thinking about like all the hard times and, you know, what it's like my mom's been through too. And I was like, you know, she's had, you know, an accident early when she was young, and she's in pain a lot all the time. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but if I ever like, well, she'll have to come here because I'm not trying nothing on those planes through Europe. But I was like, I'd love to give my mom just a little pack,
cream,
a little, you know,
quarter of a gummy.
Yeah, just so like when she's, you know, she lives alone, but like she does a good job, you know, handling things. But like whenever she's kind of having, you know, because she's, you know, my mom told me, we had a conversation. I told her about some of my beliefs in the pandemic. She was with me, and like it was the most amazing experience. Like seeing someone, she had all, and she was I was telling her about some things, what I believe and and just seeing her mind just like, whoa. And like kind of like reject some of it, but like at some point, like her heart was resonating with a lot of things. And I'm like, no, Mom, like you don't understand. Like your experience has been amazing. You've done everything you're supposed to do. So don't think like because you learned something new, but just the friendship we've been able to have since the pandemic, and then me being able to talk to her about these experiences and her like, you know, oh wow, man, like that's crazy. Like, you know what? I resonate with that because I was thinking the other day, like that's why, and it's kind of interesting, you know, it's kind of cool, and I don't know, it makes me when I forget, it makes me access kind of who I really am. That doesn't mean I need to stay in there because this experience is important too, figuring it out.
Right.
But it's like, you don't always have to you don't have to go through someone else to get that. We all have that connection.
Right.
So it's been a good journey, an interesting journey. And
yeah, it's great, man. It's great to see just, I mean, we distribute a lot of product out there, you know, and it's always awesome to like, you know, there's thousands of people that are having close or somewhat close experiences to like kind of what you're experiencing, this openness and this, you know, if you want to call it healing, you know, you can call it healing, which I mean, I think you can in some aspect, you know, it's not just the pain relief or the focus or, you know, a gummy to help you sleep, but there's also this other side to it where like it can open you up. It can open you up to, you know, these other realms of consciousness and these other experiences. And, you know, we get people that email us and, you know, call us and tell us these stories. But it's cool to be like close to it. Like as far as like knowing you and watching your experience and what you've been able to experience, and just how not that your path is changing, but it's like, you know, you're just kind of going down a new path to or a path that's opening up that you're now exploring, and to you know, how you've approached it with like the different cannabinoids and the different stacks and the different products. Have you been able to like put that all together is just, it's really cool for me to see and watch and be a witness to, because it's like, you know, it's why we do what we do. And
no, I appreciate that, and I feel that intention in what you guys do, and I think I don't think, you know, it feels safe, you know what I'm saying, and it seems like the intention of what. I think that, you know, I don't think I ever would have maybe even been where I'm at now without maybe not even just like maybe a company like that, but if I didn't know the person behind it, you know, because you know, I just think intention is everything, because
it matters.
People don't understand. Like, it's not that it's, you know, it's not cliche. It's not because, oh, he has good intentions that his product is just that way. It's like, because of the intention, the sourcing, the research, the studying, because there's a different intention if you're trying to make a cool recreational product that allows people to get high at the tourist shops, whatever. Or if someone who's actually studied the plant, studied with shamans, has gone there to understand how to, and then also wants to get the best, because it's about that plant. It's not about the other craft or cutting corners or making money. And it's like that intention. Well, and it matches like your intention, the intention of, that's what, you know, I think people are drawn to certain things for certain reasons, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Totally.
So I think it's awesome. And then I was really grateful too, because when you see that intention and you see the experience you have and you realize that, oh, you know, someone was passionate about breaking that mold of like, hey, this is just like, oh yeah, we're going to have fun and do some bullshit, you know, you know, cause that's out there too.
Oh, it's a lot of it.
It's a lot of it, but like making that intentional to be true to itself. I think that's a beautiful thing. Cause it's like, you know, it's just a different experience. It's pretty awesome. So,
yeah, well, I appreciate it, man.
And I shop at a lot of these, and I always tell people too, like, you know, they're at, you got some of these stores like Good Earth. That I was like, you got to understand where we live and so if those types of stores that are not only a health store, but local and, you know, in a certain type of demographic, if that's a brand they trust and that's the only brand they trust as things are being, that tells you a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And, yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Yeah.
And, just, yeah, man, I appreciate it. I love our friendship and what we got going on and fasting together and
no, it's awesome.
sharing our stories and our products together. I mean, your chocolate is insane.
I appreciate that.
And, it's going to go places. I'm real excited to see
it was
like the evolution of that business you got going on.
Yeah, thank you. It's just the intention was make something not as much sugar, but that still tastes good and is good for you.
Yeah, so check out Guilty Gains.
Yeah.
Guilty Gains chocolate. All right, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.